So I went into this film being quite curious about it, and I gotta say that M. Night Shyamalan doesn't have the best track record with me. I didn't like his last film, Old. I wasn't enjoying Glass to the point where I made a joke in the theater that got more of a reaction than the actual movie did. Like Sarah Paulson was breaking down screaming, and out of instinct, I said same. And like half the audience laughed. I hated The Last Airbender. And you know what? I don't even acknowledge that as an adaptation of the series. That never happened in Ba Sing Se. And of course, I don't like After Earth or The Happening. So it's hard for me to give him credit with that track record, if you will. But I saw this with a great friend of mine, and worst case scenario, we were ready to make fun of this movie throughout. However, I shockingly haven't enjoyed a Shyamalan film like this in quite some time. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to For the Agenda. Or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Wang, and on this channel, I essentially watch mainstream content and let you know if it is worth your time because your time is valuable. And no one should tell you otherwise. Today, I'm going to be talking about the newest film, Knock at the Cabin. For those of you who don't know, it's about a girl and her two dads who are vacationing and they're taken hostage by armed strangers in their cabin in the middle of the woods who demand that the family make a choice to avert the apocalypse. Now, real quick, this is based on the book The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. It's not mentioned as much in the marketing for this film, but you should know going into it that it is an adaptation and that the book, from what I am hearing, is much darker than the actual movie to the point where the ending was changed. And if this book is darker than what Shyamalan did, it's kind of surprising. I know I would actually like to read this book at one point as part of like my Goodreads challenge this year, especially before maybe rewatching this just to see if I'll notice the differences. So, with that being said, I surprisingly liked this film. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. It's simple in its setup, but it works because it keeps you intrigued and wanting to know what could happen next. It's very well paced. It doesn't waste any time setting up what it's going to explore, and it does have a non-linear story, which I'm normally not a huge fan of, but here, I liked it. You know, it's a 100-minute movie, which is great. It feels like the perfect runtime. So just know you cannot be late to this film like I almost was when I originally saw it. You can't walk in as it's starting or 5 to 10 minutes after because you'll lose the appeal. You'll be like, did I miss something? Yeah, you did. Now, this is less graphic than I thought it was going to be, which is low key great. He doesn't show things all the time, but you hear it happen mostly, and you do see the aftermath. And that is to me sometimes more terrifying because you rely on the sounds to create the image for you. So I'd say this is more psychological thriller than horror, but it's still a good choice to watch if I'm being quite honest with you on a Friday night and you just want to check out something that might creep you out a bit. This is still a pretty good choice. You know, it's something scary, but not too gross or gory. I think if you're not into gore, you could probably see this with no problem. Also, this film had some really cool camera shots. They were far more impressive than seeing how a huge budget was wasted on The Last Airbender. In Scream from 2022, they make a commentary on elevated horror. And I would go out on a limb and say that this is essentially elevated Shyamalan, surprisingly enough. He got the message and he did his homework and said, I can't mess this up. And he showed that he paid attention, which is great. And you know what I like about this film? The more I sat with it, the more I liked it. And I also really like the score. It's so good at building up the suspenseful moments and keeping the audience on the edge of your seat. And as a good thriller or horror film should do, it builds the atmosphere and makes it a heightened and more memorable experience for the audience. I genuinely think if you're going to see this, you should see it in a theater and in a theater with a good sound system. You should see this like in a Dolby theater if it's available. It'll heighten your experience when it comes to the tension. It's like a quiet place, a great theater experience that feels specifically made for that viewing format. I thought the acting here was pretty good across the board. Everyone plays their parts very well and convinces the audience. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I had moments with my friend where when Dave Bautista spoke or did something, I was like, former WWE champion Bautista, no. Like, it was a running joke and it wasn't at his expense. To me, if anything, it is wild. Just wild that this guy came from WWE and has basically become one of the best actors to come out of that company so far, establishing himself as an actor who used to be a professional wrestler versus a professional wrestler trying to be a successful actor. It's not an easy transition to make, and Dave is doing a fantastic job. I want to see him keep expanding his variety and roles. Ever since he did Blade Runner 2049, you're just like, this guy can act. Like, let him try everything so we know what works best for him. Like, I'd like to see him in a period piece or a rom com. Hell yeah, I think he could do it. Not a Hallmark rom com, but like a big studio project that would go to theaters. I'd root for him and I'd want him to succeed. He also seems like such a likable guy that you just want to root for him to be a Hollywood success story. I thought he did great. He did a really good job as Leonard. He was spine chilling because he walked this fine line of, do I trust him? Do I not trust him? What's the real motive? And part of you wants to believe that he's the person his character says he is. But another part is like, is the heel turn coming? Is this the mastermind scam about to be unveiled by this persona and it was a lie? And he walks that tightrope so well. I thought Rupert Grint was really good with what he was given. It's not a lot, but he makes the most of it. And when you look at the story, it's about trust and testing your faith in people. You know, what's real? Who do you believe? It makes you wonder what you would do in that situation and messes with you psychologically a bit, especially after these past couple of years where you suddenly don't know who you can trust. There used to be, as I call it, the honor system amongst everyone, and now you don't even know if that exists with people anymore. So it does prey on that feeling you experience daily. And I will say, it also has some biblical moments, which they made sense. I was intrigued with how it was incorporated into the final product, but I was a bit thrown off by its arrival. The concept that is used here felt balanced because you're shown two sides of the coin with the parents' personalities. And if you're not a religious person, the themes are present, but it didn't seem to me that they were pushing any religious agenda. If anything, it just helps weighs out both options for the audience to decide who they believe in the context of the story. The film itself, again, is quite suspenseful and tense due to its central theme. In this case, no cell reception. You're in the middle of nowhere, just expecting peace and quiet, and the film does a really good job of making the audience feel scared for these characters and the outcome. However, it's not perfect though. And my one note for Shyamalan, which he's gotten a couple of times now, is that he needs to focus on the dialogue a bit more because while it is a little bit better here than in some of his other previous films, it sometimes needs to be punched up a bit more at times so it doesn't feel very blah. Line delivered. Now you, my acting partner. What is your line? And then back and forward continues because it makes the actor look wooden delivering it when it's not their fault. Maybe he needs a stronger writer to overlook his work and give him some notes and maybe punch it up for him. That could work, you know? And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like peer reviewing. It could lead to you creating a better project, but he does deliver on the camera shots, which I really enjoyed. I'm going to give this film a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed myself. It was a fun time at the movies. Definitely see it with someone because the shared experience, at least in my case, I think makes it a better time. I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much or have had a great time if I saw it alone, if I'm being quite honest. If anything, the movie will leave you wanting to sing the song you hear in the trailer and the movie as you leave the theater. Again, it's not perfect, but I feel Knock at the Cabin manages to create a tense environment filled with high stakes and moments that will keep you on the edge of your seat. And once again, Dave Bautista knocks it out of the park with his spine chilling performance. That is my review of Knock at the Cabin. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, you can hit the like button and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And you can follow me on Twitter and on Letterboxd at Lady Mohicans. And remember, regardless of what others feel about the things you love, it is always for the agenda. Bye.